When Anglo-American archaeologists first ventured into the North American Southwest, they were astonished to find finely constructed pueblos and assumed that an ancient race of white people must have visited the local savages and taught them architectural crafts. Of course, this was a form of racism that was built into the mission of westward expansion and the concept of manifest destiny. Modern archaeologists know that indigenous people of the American Southwest evolved technology according to their own local needs and religious expression, and likewise, a form of writing more akin to image making developed locally as well. Even so, there are some who see similarities between indigenous American images and those made by ancient people from the European continent. And then because they see these similarities, they jump to the conclusions that Europeans must have either visited North America and made their mark, or taught the local indigenous people their writing system, or that there was some pan-global system of symbols that was somehow spread across the globe. So Europeans certainly did make carvings onto rock panels in the Southwest at a certain point in history. And there are abundant examples of Spanish markings from the early colonization period, especially near Zuni Pueblo and El Morro in New Mexico. But there are other marks that are more difficult to interpret that some either wonder or assume demonstrate European influence. So today we're looking at the Irish Ogham writing, what it is, and look at it compared to similar markings in the American Southwest, so we can drill down to what the similarities and differences are between Ogham writing and similar marks that were made in the American Southwest. The Dingle Peninsula in Ireland has the highest concentration of Ogham stones of any place in Ireland, and I'm going to show you some of the stones I visited while hiking there. Ogham stones are standing stones that have inscriptions on them from the Ogham alphabet. Ogham is spelled O-G-H-A-M, and some people pronounce it Ogham, but I'm pronouncing it Ogham, and that's still a correct pronunciation. The Ogham stone inscriptions always have one or more names, and sometimes also a couple of descriptive words about familial or religious affiliation. A theory is that the stones started being made in the 5th and 6th centuries, that's the 400s and 500s of the Common Era, to mark prominent burials as well as clan territories during a period of competition for land from both people of the island of Ireland and outsiders. Ancient Ireland had an oral history tradition, just like in the American Southwest, with no formal written language. There was, however, what one can call a writing system that we now call Ogham, that in its earliest form was likely carved onto perishable items like wooden sticks and was used for accounting and record keeping, much like cuneiform was used in Sumeria, aka modern Iraq. No examples of the Ogham sticks have been preserved, but there's reason to believe that they were used similarly to Futhark runes amongst northern Germanic people. Some people translate Ogham as point seam, as in a seam or a line, like a seam in your clothing, a seam or a line that is created by using the point of a sharp tool, because it was those scratches, those lines made in stone would have had to been made by a sharp tool, so a point seam. Early Ogham stones used an alphabet of 20 characters that usually spelled contractions and abbreviations of names and information that are difficult for us to interpret immediately now when we see them, but those abbreviations and contractions would have been easily understood by local natives at the time they were made. Kind of like how we recognize what abbreviations are for when we're texting, like OMGs, that kind of thing. So once the Romans began transcribing Ogham onto portable scripts, they adapted it to the Latin alphabet by adding a few characters to accommodate sounds that were not shared between Irish and Latin languages. This church cemetery I'm showing here has a few fantastic examples of Ogham stones and non-Ogham carved stones, so you can kind of get a sense of what is Ogham and what isn't Ogham. This first one's a reproduction of a 6th or 7th century Ogham stone that now resides in the National Museum of Ireland. Ogham is read from the bottom of the right side of the stone, up and over the top, and down toward the bottom left side of the stone. And this one says Maki Mak or Miki Muk, and then it's missing some letters, and then Gothica, which means, so missing letters, so there's this Gothica there's a first part of that name, that's a name, and there's some letters missing. So this translation would be son of distant ancestor something Gothica. So if that last name were complete, you could imagine the full inscription meaning something like, here lies the son of distant ancestor Donegal, for example. That's how it would read. So the second Ogham stone in this graveyard, it's badly damaged at either end of the inscription, but what remains is translated as some missing letters in this first name, and then Kelly, Avi, Vu, with some missing letters. So some missing letters, probably that is a name, Kelly, Avi, and then Vu is a name but with some missing letters. So we don't know what the rest of that name is. So it translate as some kind of personal name, devotee, Vu something. So if the inscription were complete, it might say something like, here lies Dowd, devotee of Vaughan, for example. The vertical corner of an Ogham stone always represents a line that orients how the hatch marks are placed horizontally in relationship to it. So they either cross it or land to either side of it, or they're at some kind of angle in relationship to it. On this tomb, there are a bunch of parallel hatch marks, but they aren't oriented to any center line that gives some delineation about how they must be read by Ogham standards. So these don't actually appear to be Ogham markings, but rather some other kind of markings. I'm on Dunsmore Head, the most westerly point in all of Europe, and it's on the Dingle Peninsula in Ireland. And I'm sitting next to the Comanal Ogham stone. And what's so cool about this Ogham stone is that it is in situ. It was found here. Most of the Ogham stones in Ireland have been found, other places, like they were picked up as rocks and used in like buildings and things. But this one was found laying down right up here and then placed upright again. This is where it always was. You read the Ogham stone from bottom to top. This one has been here since the early part of the 6th century CE, and it says, the word down here is either translated as heaven or cow. So cow, devotee, Davidius. Davidius is a name. So it means Davidius is a devotee of whether this is heaven or cow. And all of the name Davidius that have been found in Ireland, except one, are on the Dingle Peninsula. So this means, and the Ogham stones, they only ever have one stone for each name, as far as anybody knows. So that means that Davidius, the tribe, the clan, was here. This is their local place. And this is either a burial of somebody of this clan, or it's just a neighborhood marker for the clan. So how can we say that some images that appear in the North American Southwest are definitively not Ogham writing? Well, you have to go back to the qualities of Ogham and how that's defined. Ogham appears in funerary contexts or in land marking contexts by way of being on a standing stone that's in a solitary context. So that standing stone also has angular corners that works as a center line for horizontal marks that are placed in orientation to that center line. Those horizontal marks are in groupings that indicate different letters, and you read those letters from bottom to top across the top of the standing stone and back down the other side. And all of those letters, all of those sections of horizontal lines read in sequence spell words, specifically names and a few other descriptive words. In the North American Southwest, there can be images carved on standing stones. There can be serrations along the edge of stones, but they don't meet the criteria of also being carved in patterns that are recognizable as Ogham letters. And they are not always in funerary contexts, and they also appear in other contexts, such as in large flat panels and in very short segments, not lines of segments that spell Ogham letters. They also are found in combination or in context with many other images that don't look like them at all. They don't stand alone as an Ogham text. They're typically accompanied by a number of various other images. If you've had any curiosity about Ogham or topics like this, I hope this satisfied that curiosity for you. It certainly did for me. It was something that I've been thinking about for a long time, and I was happy to get the opportunity to go to Ireland and actually see Ogham for myself and learn about it and understand the difference between it and some of the similar images that you find in the North American Southwest. And since this video had a European flavor to it, I would like to show you some of my European-inspired gnomes in the Huichol bead art style that I've made that are now for sale in my Etsy shop. I've made some gnomes for the holiday season, and it's not too late to order. You can go to theancientsouthwest.com and click on Art Shop, and it'll take you to my Etsy shop, or you can go directly to my Etsy shop. It's etsy.com/shop/EyeOfGodArt, and purchasing from that shop for yourself or for a friend is a great way to support this channel and also give me a way to clear off my counters of all of these little art projects that I make for fun. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Happy holiday season, and may the fire inside you continue to burn brightly.